Hello friends, welcome to Acharya 90 FM. Myself Tejaswini. In our guest interview today, we have invited Mr. Ashok Tamhankar sir. He is Dr. Ashok Tamhankar sir, and he has done a PhD in Diploma in Radiological Physics, and he was affiliated with BRC. He was lastly working with BRC. Baba Atomic Research Center, Mumbai, India. So today, on occasion of World Science Day, we will be knowing more about his total journey to as a scientist. I welcome you, Dr. Ashok sir, to our Acharya 90 FM radio station.
Thank you very much, Tejaswini. I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah.
And it's a great honor for me to come to the college, where also I'm Professor Emeritus. And it's a great opportunity for me to speak to you about these things. And I'm very glad to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me.
So friends, let me tell you, Mr. Ashok Tamhankar sir is from a middle class family, and we'd like to know more about his experiences, about his journey, about how to become a scientist. So today sir, let me know about how you started, how was your family background, and how you started and thought of taking science as your career.
Well, it so happened that I took birth in Nagpur. And Nagpur was in those days in Madhya Pradesh. The Madhya Pradesh culture is very different than what you have in Mumbai or Maharashtra.
Yeah.
It's a very laid down culture and very simple people. No hurry, worry, nothing. Simple life. And so there I did my primary education in the municipal school. And thereafter I joined the most renowned school at that time was Patwardhan High School.
Okay.
So I joined there, and I was at the end of towards matriculation. I shifted myself to Hadas High School because what happened is that Patwardhan High School has had 11th matriculation, and very recently 10th matric had started.
Yeah.
I think I was in the first or second batch of 10th matric. So in those days, everything was decided by the fathers or the parents of the family. They were the breadwinners. So my fathers decided that it's better to do 10th matric instead of 11th matric, and because 1 year was shortened.
Yeah.
And so I was shifted to Hadas High School, and I did my matriculation from there at the Hadas High School. And after matriculation, what happened is that at that point of time, it so happened that my father's financial condition deteriorated very badly, and my father wanted that I should start earning money. And here I was a gregarious, voracious reader. I used to read all sorts of books and everything, and in that I had read the biography of Thomas Alva Edison.
Oh.
Thomas Alva Edison, was a great scientist and came from a very humble background, but he was very perseverant, He was great, he had a great dynamism, and he was deaf.
Oh.
On top of it, he was deaf. In childhood, he was selling fruits, vegetables, newspapers on the train. That kind of a life he had. And you'll not believe, he has invented more than 1,000 various types of gadgets and inventions. The best thing that we know is the electrical light. Then the second thing is phonograph. So like that, the whole electrical industry owes to Thomas Alva Edison hundreds of things, hundreds of gadgets, hundreds of inventions. Now, what happened is that after matriculation, my dream is to become a scientist after reading Thomas Alva Edison. And because of the financial conditions, my father took me to a grocer after my exam was over, and he requested that person to take me in.
Give you a job, yeah.
Yeah, give me a job, take me in. And so I joined there. I was packing during the day, 1 kilo of dal, 2 kilo of
Rice.
something, whatever was there. And At the end of the second day, I think the grocer called me and he said, "What are you doing currently?" So I said, "I'm not doing that. I've just completed my matriculation. I have given my matriculation exam. So what class you will get? What kind of marks you will get?" So I said, "I will get first class." So he said, "What are you doing here?" So I said, "You have given me a job and I'm doing my job here." Then he said, "What else you can do?" So he asked me about English. He tested my English was good. He was an educated grocer. And so he said, "How many marks you will get?" So I said, "I'm definitely going to get first class. Marks I cannot tell you."
Yeah.
Then he said that, "I think you should not do this job in a grocery shop. You should do something better." And he said that, "I will telephone to somebody and you go there at the person and talk to him." He then telephoned an architect. I remember the name, Mr. Gole, because I am greatly indebted to him. And Mr. Gole, I went in the evening, about 6 o'clock I went to him. His duty hours, he used to sit in the office, between 6 to 8. Early in the day, he used to go to sites, etc. So I went to Mr. Gole, and Mr. Gole said, he again interviewed me, what kind of marks you will get, what kind of things, the drawing. I had given both the exams of drawing. In those days and even now, there are drawing exams during the school, intermediate and elementary. So I had passed my intermediate also. So he said, okay. So he called his assistant and he told his assistant that, "Why don't you take this boy and see what he can do?" And that person took me and he gave me some very elementary drawing, with the best thing about the engineering drawing is, you do it with some instruments. I was capable of doing portraits and things like that, and I could draw a straight line without using a scale. I could even, and this was all scale drawing, so it was very easy for me. So within first 5-10 minutes, I finished the first job they told me. Then they gave me a little more complicated job. Then they gave me more complicated job. Like that, it went on. And the duty hours were between 6 to 8. And so whatever they go on giving me, I go on doing it. And I was doing it properly, or maybe in a good way for the first day for a person.
The owner was happy.
Yeah. And then at the end, about 8 o'clock, I went to Mr. Gole and said, "Thank you, sir." And I was just, expecting what he will tell me, whether he will hire me or not. And then he said, "I'm going to hire you. And first I was to give you rupees 30 per month." Imagine, this was 1960, and in those days, even 30 rupees was really
a
great amount. And he said that, but, when he said but, I was terrified that what is
he's gonna say
happening now. So he said, that after about 10 minutes, my assistant came and told me that you are very good, you are doing good. So I decided I'll give you 40 rupees per month. Then he said, after some time, one fellow came and he said that whatever other thing, more difficult job, that also he did. So I decided to give you 60. And now at the end of 2 hours, whatever reports I have got, I have decided that I will give you 75 rupees. I was very real shocked, pleasantly surprised, because all the financial worries were over. 75 rupees you could pull on for even 2 months in a family in those days. Things were so cheap, what you say, very, very cheap really in those days. I think about 10-15 rupees you could pull on for a month. That was the situation. Things were very cheap. So I came home and my father was very happy, because then I don't have to go to the grocery shop. Of course, he was also not liking it.
Yeah.
And,
but in those time conditions were like that.
Yeah.
So he had to push you there.
Yeah. Then, so I did that job for things. The other thing was that I was a good cricketer. In India, cricket has a lot of value. And I used to play in the summer. There was summer league in Nagpur. And I was playing for one of the best clubs in the Nagpur in those days. So both Mr. Gode and Mr. Bapan, the grocer, who had employed me earlier, they were fond of cricket. Everybody is fond of cricket in India. They were fond of cricket, and they were very happy that both of them had told me, whenever you want to go for cricket, you can go for the cricket match. Anyway, I didn't require to go because their timing was 6 to 8 in the evening. And so Mr. Gole told me that till your college starts, you can be here. And then what happened is, with my good marks, I got secured admission in Government Science College of Nagpur. That was the best college in those days at Nagpur. And I started my journey towards my becoming a scientist. But in life, but is very important all the time. And but what happened is that in those days, the science college used to start around June sometime. And so I was going there. I think I was in science college for about 1.5 months, most probably. And then one day my father told me that you have to go to agriculture college. I said, what happened? It was a shocking thing for me. But he said, no, if you go to agriculture, somebody told him that if you go to agriculture, you get a job immediately after becoming BSc, while after BSc Pure Science, you may have to search for a job. But I was not to become BSc Pure Science. I had told him that I will become engineer. And I had planned to do, in those days, even today I think, what happens is in those days we had to give pre-professional exam or inter-science exam. And after inter-science exam, then depending on the marks in the inter-science exam, you get admission to the engineering college. And there used to be very few engineering colleges in those days, only government colleges. I think there was only one college in the whole of Vidarbha in Nagpur. Anyway, so it was decided that I should go to the College of Agriculture in Nagpur. So my whole journey was shifted in a totally different direction. And I don't know what to do again. Then anyway, what happened in this time that I applied for scholarships because still there was a problem for the 9 months. 3 months Mr. Gole will employ me as an architect. But
after that,
9 months was gap. But my marks were good and I applied and I got government merit scholarship. And also there used to be King Edward Memorial Trust scholarship in those days. So I applied for that, I got that also. And there was one more private endowment trust. I applied for that also. And it so happened that I got all the 3 scholarships. And I got 75 rupees per month once again with all these put together. And the problem of my parents of economic burden was totally solved. I was totally independent. I almost became a breadwinner sort of person.
And the earner in the family.
Earner in the family. And so this thing continued and I became BSc
in agriculture.
At that point of time, even today, Indian Agriculture Research Institute at Delhi, USA it used to be called, that was a very premier institute in India. Even today it is the premier institute. And I wanted to join there because my focus was basically to become a scientist or involved in science, development of science or things like that. And so I thought that I will do it, but then it so happened that my father was not willing to send me to Delhi also. He wanted me to be in Nagpur only. Because what I also was simultaneous.
You are the only child in the house?
No, I was not only child, I have 2 brothers. But what has happened is that in that, my father was getting older as the time was passing. And he had no job in those days. So anyway, I continued and since I had good marks, I completed my MSc also in
Agriculture.
agriculture in Nagpur Agriculture College.
Mm.
That college is very old. It has a history of maybe some 150 years or so.
Mm.
And I did my MSc there. And in between time, I had read a lot about the atomic energy
Okay.
and reactor engineering, etc., etc. And that was the foremost field of science
Mm-hmm.
in those days.
Mm.
And so I was trying to figure out how I can go, how I can join this premier institute,
Okay.
Bhabha Atomic Research Center. It used to be Department Atomic Energy Establishment Trombay in those days. It was not named Bhabha Atomic Research Center in those days.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, how can I manage to
Be
go
there,
into
yeah,
that
yeah.
and go into a sort of pure science stream, you know,
Stream,
because
yeah.
my focus was mainly towards pure science.
Mm.
And then what happens is that I think if you are determined, if you are persistent, that you want to do something and you
Yeah.
try to achieve it, you go on finding ways.
Mm.
So then I found out that though I am an agriculture graduate, I still have a chance to enter this stream by trying for the training that they had there in radiological physics. Radiological physics, and then I said that okay, let me try that.
Okay.
Then of course I prepared myself and I gave interview, etc. That whatever was required, and I got selected.
Wow.
And so I ended up with the Department of Atomic Energy, and I had a chance to do science.
That was the happiest moment in your life.
Yeah.
Okay, so how was the experience working in Bhabha Atomic Research Center?
Yeah.
That we would like to know.
When I joined Bhabha Atomic Research Center or Department Atomic Energy Establishment Trombay in those days, you know, the life was exciting.
Yeah.
See,
It's a dream coming true. Yeah.
and in those days, you know, inventions, discoveries, they were just falling down. Every day something new was happening. Every day newer and newer things in all fields of science.
Yeah, and India was quite lagging behind compared to other countries in
Exactly.
those
Exactly.
days. Yeah.
So the environment in the atomic energy department at that time was very exciting because all of us were sort of fired up. We wanted to do something new. We wanted to do as much as possible with whatever little capacity or little endowment that we had with us in those days, you know, because we were not having the instruments at the level of the foreigners or the Western countries, but with whatever techniques, facilities we had.
Well, we had the brains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We wanted to do the best, and that's how then. I mean, it was a fire of excitement was there. People were working very hard. People used to work late in the time hours. They wanted to do something. The atmosphere was great when I joined Department of Energy, and it remained like that all the time because people wanted to do something, and government was willing to support it, and things were happening. Every day there was huge excitement. You know, Nobel laureates used to come to department, our atomic energy. They used to give lectures. And they used to incite us to do good work. They used to give guidance. So it was a big thing to be in the Bhabha Atomic Research Center, and the life was very exciting there.
Yeah, definitely. So you have done research in many subjects. So how was your role as a researcher or as a scientist? Both ways.
Yeah. So what happened is with my background in agriculture, and then I had done my MSc in entomology.
Okay.
And then what happened is I had to choose and do things which are suitable to the department as well as what I can do or what was the focus that was there at that point of time. So now what happens is that you know, we use insecticides to control the insects that infest crops and destroy our crops. So what happens here is that we were trying to find out what the insects, they develop insecticide resistance. They become immune to the insecticide because they are used continuously on them. So what happens is that we were trying to develop alternate methods for insect control. And in that, I was working on sex pheromones for the use of insect control, and also on sterile insect technique for the control of insects, agricultural insects. Our focus was mainly agricultural insects as well as stored product insects, which were damaging the crops or the crops product stored.
Yeah. And you have also written some, you are the reviewer for several international journals, including Chemosphere, Journal of Chemical Engineering, Environmental Pollution, Germs, and Indian Journal of Medical Research, etc. So, how was your role as a reviewer? That you can explain.
Yeah, what happens is that, you have to see a paper that comes to you with a certain standard. So in a paper there are 4 segments, for example: introduction, material methods, results, and discussion. So you have to go on segment wise, see whether everything is properly written or not, whether it is up to date in the knowledge or not, whether the methods used are correct or not. Like that you go on evaluating the paper. The more important part is that what I would like to sort of bring out is I also a reviewer for the applications that were done to the government of India in the Department of Biotechnology, Department of Agriculture, Department of Science and Technology, Department of Atomic Energy. So what happens is researchers, they ask for funds from the government to do research, and then the government evaluates those research proposals. So I was used to be on the panels which were evaluating those proposals, whether to sanction money or not, what is their worth, whether their new research is going to happen or not. So I was a part of that also. And in this, during my journey in the BRC research team, I discovered, to my great pleasure, 4 insect sex pheromone phenomena, and also I got a patent in the same area, and so it was a great achievement for me in those days, discovering a totally new phenomenon as well as getting a patent on something.
And apart from Bhabha Atomic Research Center, you are affiliated to Global Health Systems and Policy Focus in Antibiotics, Department of Global Public Health, and even Department of Environment Medicine, and the School of Biotechnology of Bhubaneswar, India, and School of Public Health, University of Bhubaneswar, and also you are the professor in Acharya College.
So, this is a very interesting part of my scientific journey.
Yeah.
And what happened is that after I retired from BRC, Atomic Research Center, in 2005, I had decided that enough of this, and I will not hereafter join any organization, institute, and work for 9 to 5 or 10 to 6, whatever it's called. I don't want to do that hereafter. So I had decided that I will work by only email, telephone, mobile, and if required, then only I will go to a place. As a visiting faculty or guide. Nothing more than that. And then what happened is what happens is that I was very sure in India nobody will want this kind of a person who is not willing to go to an office and sit there from 10 to 5. But what happened is that after my retirement, one day suddenly I got a letter from the Karolinska Institute. It is a very highly ranked medical university in Sweden, and not only ranked in Sweden, ranked in the world. It is about 5th or 6th in ranking in medical university. So they sent me a letter that they have heard that I have retired from Bhabha Atomic Research Center, and they wanted me to join in a project that they were going to conduct in India. So I told them my condition, that I will not go to any place, I will not join any office, I will only be working by only emails, telephone, mobile. And once in a while only, if required, I'll go to the project site and do work. So luckily it was agreeable to them. And so what happened is that I said, okay, I have also one more condition, that I will not work for 1 year, which was also a very fascinating thing for them. But luckily their project was starting at the end of 2006. I retired in 2005. Their project was starting after 1 year. So they were very happy to have me with them. And they said, no problem at all. We can go ahead with this. So it so happened that I joined there. And then I was a PhD guide also at an international institute. I guided postdoc students as well as doctorate students. And it so happened during the project work with Karolinska Institute, we collaborated with Indian institutes as well as institutes abroad. And so as a part of that collaboration, I was involved in collaboration with the Bhubaneswar University at Bhubaneswar, Kalinga Institute of Industrial Technology. It's a recognized university. And there we did a lot of work. Then also the work of the Kalinga Institute was being done at the medical college in Ujjain. So they wanted me to be also professor there because I was collaborating in the program. And so I became professor there in the environmental medicine. And of course I used to give some lectures there as well as guide the student. And so this is how I became associated with two institutes. And then I was associated. Our project, then what happened is that we enlarged our project to Vietnam also. And so I have a PhD student who is from Vietnam. Yeah. So then we did work in Vietnam also. Then some British project was there. They wanted me to work with them. So at that point of time, we did work in Cambodia also. So it was a very good experience in terms of working in international as well as national
and
institutes.
good institutes, good organizations.
Good
Further, I would like to ask you one question, that you're associated with WHO, that is World Health Organization. It's a really proud feeling for our Indians also to be a part of WHO. So how was the experience, and in what context you are associated with WHO?
Yeah, so I was working on the antibiotic resistance field. What happened is that after my work with BRC in the area of sex pheromones and sterile insect technique, I decided to change. I wanted to have a break and change. And so this project of Karolinska Institute was on antibiotic resistance. And so I decided that it's a very good field, because what happens is I was associated with the work on insecticide resistance. So it's a parallel between insecticide resistance and antibiotic resistance. Antibiotics are used to kill bacteria, while insecticides are killed to insects, and both of them develop resistance. So I've had sufficient knowledge and understanding of what's going to happen or what's happening. So it was very easy for me to shift from insecticide resistance, let us say, to antibiotic resistance. It was not very difficult for me. And
but still, it would be a challenging task, right?
Yeah, I mean, whatever we do, if we take up some new challenge, then only life is interesting. Otherwise, it's a very routine and mundane life, what to do with it. So, anyway, we did that. So, and then we did a lot of good work. We published so many papers in international journals in this particular antibiotic resistance work. And we worked in hospitals. Actually, we conducted workshops. I remember a workshop we conducted at the All India Institute of Medical Sciences at Bhopal and several other places. Then what happened is that during all this time, I also started sort of voluntary organization, Indian Initiative for Management of Antibiotic Resistance.
Okay.
And besides doing this work, I also started blogs on the internet.
Yeah.
So I founded and I'm editor for that blog. 3 blogs are there on the
Okay.
antibiotic resistance field, and they are in different areas of the antibiotic science, and we go on giving information in that of various types of things, and go ahead with that.
So I think there is lot many things to know from you, and science itself is a vast subject, and your portfolio, if I go to see, I think we need to make couple of more sessions of interviews. So I think I request you to come again, and we schedule a next interview and knowing more about you and in your subject line. So thank you for joining us on Acharya 90 FM.
Thank you very much. Very kind of you to have invited me. It's a great pleasure for me to be associated with you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Tejaswini. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. So friends, we had today in our guest interview Dr. Ashok Tamhankar sir. He is a scientist by profession, and he'll be joining us more on Acharya 90 FM with different scientifically related subjects like entomology and some more research papers. So we'll be meeting in the next interview with Dr. Ashok Tamhankar sir. So till then, you keep listening Acharya 90 FM. I'll meet you in the next segment. Till then, myself Tejaswin taking your leave. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.